All right, and we're back. Welcome back to the channel. This is the post Money in the Bank analysis, reaction, breakdown, whatever video you want to call it. Immediately after Money in the Bank just finished, literally a couple minutes ago. This could be the initial reaction breakdown to it. What I got right, what I got wrong, and I got mainly some things right, but a lot wrong. But we'll go from start of the card to the end of the card. We'll start with the women's Money in the Bank, which kicked off the show. With that featured Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Naomi against Julia, Roxanne Perez, and Stephanie Vaquer. So what do I think of the match? So first of all, great match. I thought all women did a great job, especially for Vaquer, Perez, and Julia. I think you could see that they were trying to adjust, and these are three women who don't have any in-ring chemistry with the other three women across from them. So I think it was only fair to kind of not assume a very fast-paced and chemistry type of match where they're constantly backing ideas off each other and they're going back and forth a lot. It was very kind of slow-paced and a lot of kind of build-up spots and a lot of timing things that went wrong. I think for what it was really good. Um, I think everybody had their opportunity. I think you definitely saw that from Roxanne Perez and Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie, I thought, was probably the MVP of this match. She was fantastic. Um, she's really good. She's gonna be one to watch. She's a really talented, and it's her third match in a day, in 24 hours. So yeah, it was a really good match, really good showing point for the women who are newer to the roster and who are introducing themselves to the WWE universe. With the wrestling universe, obviously we know who they are and what they've done. So really good stuff. The double code red was really cool to see. But yeah, just it was a good way to kick off the show. It wasn't the most technically perfect match. It wasn't the most crisp match you could have hoped for, but I think overall they all did a really good job, and you can't really complain too much about it. And then you have the winner being Naomi. A bit of a surprise. I know from the dirt sheets and whatever I was reading, and in my prediction, I certainly didn't have Naomi winning. But look, I think you couldn't have went wrong with any option. I think you can make the argument for all of them. And I think for Naomi's argument, it helps her character as a heel, as one of the bad guys or the bad women, bad girls out there. Um, and it gives her something to kind of get her character some credibility and to kind of because Alexa Bliss, she can go back to the White Six. She'll be fine. Rhea will be fine. She's still so over. Julia, Roxanne, and Stephanie will find their footing. They'll be fine. Naomi was kind of the odd one out in this equation. And I think you give this to her and you give her something that she can build on, something that she can use every week, and something that she can help build her character around. And I think it's good because it takes her away from Jade Cargill, which was kind of tying her down. And I think Jade's great as well. But I think she needed to move on from that feud and she needed to kind of, transition into a different kind of path for her character. And I think, putting her in the title picture and putting her in that same main event scene as Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, and Jade makes a whole lot of sense for the SmackDown roster. So, and even on Raw, where she could work with Io Sky a little bit, and I think it's obvious she's going with Tiffany Stratton. I think it's going to be Io and Rhea at SummerSlam. I think that's probably the most likely path. Maybe use a Liv Morgan in there, but I think Naomi and Tiffany will be probably the path they're going to go on. Um, I could see Jade and Tiffany fighting at SummerSlam, and then Jade winning and Naomi cashing on Tiffany on Jade. I could see how that would work. I know I just said that I don't want to see them feuding right now, but I think in that context it could work for the long term storytelling. But I think if you don't give her the briefcase, that doesn't work. You can't keep hashing out Naomi Jade forever with nothing to have some substance to it. I think this adds to that, especially if you give Jade the title. and especially if you can have Naomi cash in on her, I think that makes it even more of a. It definitely adds another level to that feud while keeping it relatively interesting. Whereas if you didn't have the briefcase before, it just kind of falls flat. But I think now this adds a good level of intrigue to that. But like I said, really did not have a problem with the match. A couple of missed timing spots, but it's fine. It happens. It's a ladder match. It's unpredictable. I'm not expecting perfection in a ladder match at all. The margin for error is so high, but all six women did a great job. They all put on a great performance, especially Stephanie Vaquer. Just the death spot with Rhea was probably the funnest part of that match. In terms of a grade, I would give it probably like a solid B plus. It was good. I don't think you could have went wrong with who won. I think it was entertaining way to kick off the show. Moving on, we have the impromptu match. So WWE had their Worlds Collide PLE with the AAA company that they just bought, the Mexican company they just bought, and mainly their NXT roster, a couple of WWE guys sprinkled in there as well. So during that card, one of the in one of the matches, Dominic Mysterio interrupted and got the attention of Octagon Jr., who was one of the rising stars in AAA and in that company. And he basically called him out, and they had it back and forth. He's like, "You could fight me tonight. I'm Money in the Bank, whatever." So it's a prop two matchup: Dominic Mysterio versus Octagon Jr. for the Intercontinental Championship. Fun match. I think it's a good representation of AAA as a brand, and get Dominic on the card in Los Angeles. He's going to get plenty of heat, so it makes sense. And there was a part of me that was like, they might take the title off Dom here, but I think it was the right decision to not do that. And I think overall, like the match itself was fine. It had a good pace to it. It had a good kind of understanding. And it's two guys who never really worked that much together, but seemed to have a good understanding of what each other did. The Liv Morgan distraction was pretty obvious and a big part of why that match went the way it went. So I think it was a good kind of start introduction to the AAA WWE era and how those two brands are going to merge. But yeah, overall was a really just fine match, and I don't want to say it was a time filler, but it feels like a time filler. But it was an entertaining match, and it did serve its purpose, and it was a good introduction to Octagon Jr. and Triple A for WWE fans, and giving you somebody to hate in Dominic Mysterio and having him on the card. And again, Dom's just really solid as a worker. Just a really good wrestler, and he hasn't put out a bad match in months. So really, really good stuff from him as well. So yeah, it was a fine match. Expected result. They could have went risky. They didn't have to. They probably weren't going to pull the trigger at that situation. But yeah, I guess a match rate just a solid C plus, passing grade. Did the job. Move on. Um, Move on to now the Women's Intercontinental Championship between Lyra Valkyria, and Becky Lynch. Okay, there we go. I thought personally, and this may be a hot take, personally, this was match of the night for me. I thought these two women are just putting on an absolute clinic. These two are just, their chemistry is so perfect. They work off each other so well. They always seem to have an idea of what each other wants to do. They don't rush anything. They don't slow anything down. They have good communication together. And I honestly think that Becky and Charlotte Flair are soulmates. Becky and Bayley were soulmates in terms of wrestling soulmates. I think Lyra has found her wrestling soulmate in Becky Lynch, because Lyra was always solid and good, but she never really got to like show what she can really do with her opponents. I think her and Becky allow her to do that, and you start to see how good of a wrestler and a storyteller Lyra Valkyria is. I think she was fantastic in this match. I thought this is probably one of the best matches in her career, better than her Backlash match with Becky Lynch a few months ago. But I absolutely loved this match from them. I thought both of them did a great job. I thought both of them executed every spot they need to execute. Um, and look, I thought it was both physical and fun and with crazy spots. The ending is probably where you're gonna get slack from it. And look, I said Becky was gonna win. I didn't think because here's the thing. I think they're clearly gonna do either Evolution as the trilogy match or SummerSlam as a trilogy match. Probably leaning towards Evolution, but I think SummerSlam's the better place for it, and they could do it at Evolution as well. But I think her winning kinda clean, her cheating to win by grabbing the tights, it works in that situation. And her not like I think it could have worked either way, whether she had to cheat or whether she beat Lyra clean. I think it would have went over better if she beat Lyra clean with like a disarm or a manhandle slam. I think it would have worked if she hit a finisher as opposed to a tight roll up, which I get is cheap and I think kind of devalues the match a little bit for me. But I think in the grand scheme of things, because you can see a trilogy coming down the line, it's not the definitive ending of this feud. It makes sense. And everything that went on with the hand raising and Lyra still coming out on top and looking pretty strong as like a what's the word I'm looking for? Not like a like she didn't do a bad thing. She fought for she stood up for herself. She said she got pushed around. She pushed the boy back. That's how you want your face to come off. And look, I think overall it worked. Right, everything about it worked. I think in the moment you kind of just disappointed because you wanted. I think you wanted more, and that just is a testament to how good these two women were and how good the match was. Was that you felt wanting more from it and that they could go more and that there's still more that they can unlock in these matches. So I am so here for their third match in their trilogy fight, whether it's at Evolution or SummerSlam. I'm here for it. I think Lyra has found her wrestling soulmate. Also, I think Becky and her have great chemistry. I think they bring out the best in each other. And I think it gives Lyra a brand new look and a brand new path into creating her own. She's finally found her footing, type of thing. So, good thing to see that from her. And yeah, overall, really, really great match. I'd probably give it an A. Honestly, I love this match. I thought it was really good. Again, probably for me the best match on the card. Um, and yeah, overall, I give it an A. Really, really solid job from the two of them. And we'll see what happens down the line, whether where the trilogy fight is going to be. Um, So next we have the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. So this had Seth Rollins, um, Penta, El Grande Americano, Jesus Christ, Solo Sikoa, Andrade, and don't tell me, God, don't tell me. Oh, jeez, it was Seth, it was El Grande Americano, it was Andrade, it was Penta, it was Solo Sikoa, and LA Knight. Oh yeah. I forget the yeah, man. Um, but yeah, um, I'm tired. It's been a long day, but anyway. Besides the point, solid match. You know, it's they've all been a part of our matches before. They all knew what to do. Um, they all hit their spots. Again, timing bit of an issue, but it's a ladder match. You can't really get on them for that. Um, and yeah, I think the last 10 minutes is where this match really kicks into the gear and gets into more of the WWE X style, where it's like, here comes, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and now here comes JC Mateo and Jacob Fatu, and then you get the Fatu face turn or whatever. I don't even think it's a face turn. I think you can't even call it that. This is more like a I'm leaving the group situation where he's breaking away from the bloodline, which I think is a good thing. I think it's about time he goes out on his own and he could finally break away from that kind of thing. We'll see what that means for Solo. In the future, I don't know how that kind of will play out. They'll probably have a rivalry and a feud. but after that, I'm not sure. So this is kind of the last bit of storytelling Solo had in him with the bloodline stuff. So again, we haven't seen what else he can do. So that's kind of an unfair statement by me, but that's what I feel right now. So, um, but yeah, you have the Solo spot and the ladder setup and all that. Thinking maybe Roman Reigns is going to come out. I don't think Roman Reigns is going to come out for that situation. Wouldn't make sense. But I think everything in the match worked. Andrade really with his sunset flip to Americano was really good. Um, the Mexican driver, the Penta hit was so clean. And everything just kind of, everyone hit their spots. Everybody did what they needed to do. Everybody did. Nobody really had a big fucky wucky, if you would. Nobody had a big mess up. No one had a botch. Um, but yeah, and then of course you get the ending where you think LA Knight's gonna win, and then Seth Rollins hits Stomp, and he climbs the ladder and he wins. And I think that was a prediction that everybody pretty much had. Um, it was gonna be Seth, and wasn't gonna be Seth. It'd be because of Punk, but Punk never came out, so Seth was gonna win, right? So that's just kind of how everything worked out. And look, I think it makes sense. I think you give Seth the briefcase, he'll work with it well. We'll see how long he holds it because I do feel like, and I said this during the prediction, that if Seth wins one of the paths I see this going on is he will challenge or he will wait till Monday after the Gunther Jay match, and if Jay is to beat Gunther, then Seth's going to cash in right away, and he'll win the title on Monday, and that'll set him up for SummerSlam. Against whoever, I don't know. But I think that is the clear path that we are heading on with this feud. Um, yeah, so I think, Seth winning makes sense. I think for everybody else involved in the match, I really, my dark horse was Andrade. I think that could have been a really good thing for him. LA Knight, you saw how over he was, changing his hometown to LA instead of Louisiana, is also pretty funny. Penta will be fine. Penta is over. He'll recover. El Grande Americano, Chad Gable will be fine. He's got a great thing going with that. Solo, I want to see where this leaves him, but now he has a storyline to build on, so I guess that works out. So yeah, overall, good stuff from them. I'm trying to think of like memorable stuff that happened, but everything was just kind of pretty good. They hit their standard spots with a ladder. Uh, but yeah, shout out to Fireball as well, getting that promotion in. And yeah, I think overall everything made sense. Everybody did their part. Um, I guess match grade, probably a solid B plus. Lowest would be a B. I think a B plus is solid. This was just a solid Money in the Bank. It was a lot longer than I think it probably should have been. Probably, and with all the run-ins and distraction and who's with who's with who's with on whose faction, but that's fine. Let's get to the main event because I've been yapping. So the main event was John Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso in the tag match. Um, Jay and Cody won. Like the match was fine. Everybody went through their standard steps. The effing moonsault by Logan Paul, and like I've been on Logan Paul's ass before. I've gotten very notable heat for my takes on Logan Paul and what type of wrestler he is and what he doesn't do. But the guy's an athlete, man. The guy can do some crazy stuff. And the moonsault from the ringside to the announce table and hitting that spot perfectly was just fantastic. It really, really was good stuff. The camera angle from the top rope suplex to when Jay hit the splash was great camera work and great visually to see. Really awesome stuff there. And yeah, I think everything went as predicted except for the ending. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had R-Truth coming back to screw John Cena out of the match, hit him with the title, and play everybody. We all thought R-Truth was gone. We were all upset about it. We want truth. We want truth. Yeah, we do. And look, if there's one thing that WWE does do, they do listen to their fans. And I don't know if it was a work. I don't know if it was a genuine kind of like he's really being released because I now I don't know, but I think they were always going to work out a deal regardless. And it looks like that's going to be the case. Just based on what Cole was talking about on commentary, like oh he's back, he's resigned. Um, he's here for good. He's back. Um, so sorry, Carlito. We just love Truth more, but we love Carlito too. But sorry, Carlito, but Truth's the guy. Um, so yeah, Truth coming back and screwing Cena out was really good storytelling, really fun storytelling. And Rhodes winning was predictable. He'll probably echo that he wants a title shot now. He pinned Cena. So Cena Rhodes is probably going to be the path to SummerSlam, which makes sense. I think I don't have a problem with that. Um, so yeah, overall, really, really good stuff from everybody involved. Even Logan Paul was really good in this match. I felt like, and Jay taking the brood of the pain, setting him up for Monday, where he might possibly drop the title. I think makes sense and it's good writing and storytelling on their behalf. But yeah, overall, like I did not have. I think you ended it on a pretty fun note. I think main event probably wasn't the direction I would have went in with this card. I probably would have put it on first or third, unless like something serious is gonna happen. Which I mean, I guess it did, but in the grand scheme of things, not really. But yeah, I think as a main event, it's fine. It works. We move on, right? So yeah, I think just it sets everything up for down the line. I think we'll see what happens with Logan Paul. He'll find somebody to fight at SummerSlam. Could it be Jay? Could it be Seth? I don't know. We'll see, right? So overall, decent, decent tag match, decent main event. Pretty standard tag match. I felt like everybody hit their finishers, everybody had their near falls. It worked for a main event, I guess, with R-Truth hitting Cena and him revealing himself. And the moonsault was just fantastic. I think again another solid B plus. Everybody did something pretty crazy. Everybody did something that was a little bit more than what they usually do. Everybody kind of elevated their game here. So overall, really really good stuff there. I didn't have a problem with any of the matches. I didn't have any problem with any of the decisions that were made. I think they can all be justified, and you can see the path they want to go on. Um, and I guess like kind of like a bit of news officially, WrestleMania is going to go back to Las Vegas after it was supposed to go to New Orleans. So it looks like the TKO influence is starting to trickle down now. So sorry, New Orleans, you lost WrestleMania, and we're going back to Vegas, I guess. But that's TKO magic right there, and TKO kind of establishing what they want to do with this company. But what can we do? I think you have fun. You have you had a card that was really fun, that was had some unexpectedness. That at the end of the day, it achieved what it was needed to achieve. You have two really good Money in the Bank matches. You have Becky and Lyra going forward. Uh, you have the Triple A connection now starting to trickle in little by little. You start to see more of that. And you have two future main events down the line where Jay and probably Seth at some point, or Seth winning the title at some point, and then Cena Rhodes at SummerSlam most likely. It's like overall, I guess overall would be just a solid B plus for Money in the Bank. Couple of iffy stuff here and there in terms of matches and where they were and how everything played out and timing, but overall didn't have much to complain about, nitpicking stuff. But it was fun, it was enjoyable, and we move on to probably going to be the next Saturday Night Main Event and Evolution coming up in July, I think 12th and 13th, which I will be doing reactions and maybe previews to. And after that, we'll go from there. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. Make sure you check out our other stuff as well, like the Game 2 reaction, which is going to probably coming out sometime today or tomorrow, depending on when this comes out, for the NBA Finals, and look forward to more wrestling stuff and more sports stuff down the line. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.